can't afford term life insurance, to buy $1 million of affordable term for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-345-2789. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-345-2789. Big Lou will answer your call and get you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds, too. Call 800-345-2789. 800-345-2789. We don't take a break from what we do. We cover the news around the clock.
We begin our live team coverage with KCBS's Matt Bigler. He's at the West Oakland station where he has just spoken with a passenger who had been on that duck train. Matt?
This train lost power in the Transbay Tube this morning.
We are the only news station broadcasting live from the Bay Area every hour of the day, every day of the week.
We began to slow down and stop. Sometimes that happens, but this time we really stopped for like a very long time, to the point where we're like, what's going on?
It's one more reason why we're the Bay Area's #1 news station. All news, all the time, right here on KCBS.
First for traffic, we are checking the drive in Mountain View. For that, we go to Victor Zaragoza.
And I'm looking at a stretch of slow traffic on 101 northbound just as you approach Shoreline Boulevard. Doesn't really ease up to get into Palo Alto just after San Antonio Road. After that, it's a pretty smooth ride through Redwood City as you continue on 101 northbound in San Mateo just as you approach Avenue. Another stretch of slow traffic from there to just before Anza Boulevard in Burlingame. Then from there, it's a pretty smooth ride into San Francisco. Speaking of San Francisco, especially if you are coming in via the Bay Bridge from the East Bay, the metering light's still on. You still have a slight backup at the toll plaza. Nothing major, but you are going to be very slow there. Then off and on the brakes from Yerba Buena Island as you continue on 80 westbound into downtown San Francisco. And speaking of the East Bay in Oakland, you got slow traffic coming out of downtown Oakland. That's southbound 880 right after the 980 merger. Doesn't really ease up to get past 23rd Avenue. Your next traffic update at 10:28 on the traffic leader, KCBS.
Hey, good morning. Daytime highs today in San Francisco sitting in the upper 60s, low 70s in Oakland, and mid 70s down in the Santa Clara Valley. As we head into this week, we have a midweek warm-up. Nothing too extreme by any means, but we'll experience some upper 80s, lower 90s off in our inland East Bay as early as Thursday and Friday, and a very similar setup for our friends in the North Bay, too. It'll be a lot sunnier, too, due to high pressure building its way in from the south. It'll dry us up a little bit, but then we return back to average as we head into the weekend. This is a great opportunity to get out there and get some fresh air if possible throughout the week. We'll keep you updated here in the Weather Center, but for now, I'm meteorologist Jessica Birch with your KCBS KPIX5 for solar forecast.
Traffic and weather together on the 8th and All News 106.9 and AM 740 KCBS. KCBS News Time 10:20. California voters will soon be choosing between dueling gambling measures. KCBS's Chris Ancarlo reports the propositions have generated a massive campaign from both sides of the debate.
The argument from the Yes on 26 and No on 27 campaign is one of responsibility.
It's sponsored by tribes. It would allow in-person sports betting at tribal casinos and the 4 regulated racetracks.
Kathy Fairbanks is a spokesperson for the Yes on 26 and No on 27 campaign. She says in-person betting ensures that there is no underage gambling.
In contrast, Prop 27, written by the out-of-state gambling corporations along with a couple of others, is a massive expansion of gambling.
Fairbanks says Prop 27 would undercut the authority given to tribes by voters to operate casino-style gambling, which she says supports more than 150,000 jobs.
$12 billion in wages, $26 billion in economic activity. They give back to the communities in which they're located.
Fairbanks made her case for 26 and against 27 on our State of California program. On Wednesday, we will hear from supporters of Prop 27 as we continue our look at this year's ballot measures. Chris Ancarlo, KCBS.
Speaking of voting, the governor is making it easier for Californians to vote and safer for poll workers.
And that's why I'm proud to sign AB 2815 by Assemblymember Berman to increase ballot drop-off locations, particularly at the CSU and UC campuses, making it easier for our students to vote.
The bill also increases resources at polling places for people who speak languages other than English. And Gavin Newsom signed a bill that protects poll workers who get threats. They can now keep their home addresses and personal information confidential. Well, it's not just California, but poll workers across the country have suffered threats and harassment. KCBS's Jim Taylor has details of an intended fix Election Workers Protection Act.
Death threats driving some election workers to walk away from their jobs on the front line of democracy.
The Justice Department actually last year created a task force that investigates and prosecutes people who threaten or try to intimidate election officials.
This is New York Times political reporter Neil Vigdor telling CBS News much of the blame for this intimidation trend goes right on Trump supporters.
You know, you have a lot of these election deniers. Partisan audits have created this kind of cauldron of ill will towards election officials around the country.
The Election Workers Protection Act makes threatening those workers a federal crime. It is sponsored in part by California Senator Alex Taylor, KCBS.
Facebook says it has identified and stopped a sprawling that spread Russian propaganda about the invasion of Ukraine. Facebook parent company Meta says the network created more than 60 websites that mimicked legitimate news organizations but parroted Russian talking points about Ukraine. More than 1,600 fake Facebook accounts were used to reach audiences to a request for comment. Consumers seem to be getting some relief. Check this with Jason Brooks.
Holly, consumer confidence perked up in September thanks to some relief at the pump. The Conference Board's consumer confidence reading rose more than expected to a level of 108 from less than 104 in August to its highest reading in 5 months, with the board saying consumers were helped by strong job growth along with declining gas prices. The expectations index improved from summer lows, but recession fears still persist, and the improved confidence from falling pump prices may weaken as gas prices have rebounded higher in the past 2 weeks. New home sales unexpectedly soared higher in August. The Commerce Department reports that sales nearly 29% from the previous month, following 7 straight months of declining sales. Even with that gain, new home sales were down almost 30% from a year earlier. Stock market got off to a good start today, trying to break out of a 5-session losing streak, but the market has turned south. The Dow now losing 200. NASDAQ down by 32. S&P lower by 22 points. On the Money Watch, Jason Brooks, KCBS.
I look at our electric bills and they keep going up.
We have rolling blackouts.
Declare your energy independence with Semper Solaris, the #1 solar plus battery installer in the United States.
We just said we've got to be different. We got to keep our word. We have to do the right thing for the customers.
Work hard and keep your word. That's what we do every single day.
The savings are better than what I expected.
My last bill was actually a credit.
From my experience, I would go with Semper.
And I said, I want the A-team. I want the best. This was the A-team.
From the beginning to the end, they have been the best.
Semper offers new AC systems with a lifetime warranty and new roofs with a 50-year warranty. Go solar American style with Semper Solaris.